Okay, welcome. This is Project Zomboid. This is probably the most ultimate zombie survivor game out there. And I just noticed that there's a spiffo on the TV right here. That's a, oh wait, you can't see my cursor. Where do I begin? The game has a tutorial. It's worth going through just to learn the basics. We also have solo, multiplayer hosts, a bunch of mods of the workshop, and everything else. If you go into solo, you'll be presented with a bunch of options: Apocalypse, Outbreak, Rising, Extinction, Custom Sandbox, and Challenges. Depending on what you choose in regards to here, these, you could think about them as specific settings in Custom Sandbox. So, like, let's say, for example, what's a really quick thing? So let's say you're playing Pokemon. In Pokemon, if you were able to set your custom EXP to like ×2, okay, well then Outbreak is going to be set to ×2. What about the items that you find? Okay, well then perhaps if you play in Rising, that's going to be set to ×4, etc, etc, etc. So if you want to get a full look into all of these settings, you just go into Custom Sandbox. But in regards to challenges, that's where it's a little different. You have these specific challenges, and each one kind of has their own settings. Now, the cool thing about Custom Sandbox is that you could set Custom Sandbox to be a mix of everything you see here. So if I can go back, go to Custom Sandbox, go to next, you'll see here it basically unlocks all of the spawns. And this is Louisville as a whole, Knox country, and generally you're only allowed to start in Riverside, West Point, Muldraw, Rosewood. So these kind of 4 areas over here. I believe the developers wanted people to come to explore Brandenburg, Ekron, Irvington, etc., as well as March Ridge. And Louisville is not a spawn location at the moment. Phallus Lake, if I remember correctly, is somewhere over here-ish. That's another spot. Basically you could pick your spot. So let's say Echo Creek. And then you'll go into the sandbox options over here. And this is basically where you could set everything. How long is a day length? And you could set this to be real time, so that way you're literally playing your character in real time. An hour is an hour, a minute is a minute. But you also have to take into account that this is also going to affect everything else in the game. So if you're cooking something on the stove, then that's going to get translated into real time. If you're reading a book, that's going to be translated into real time. The game already sets an amount of time to reading. So I forgot exactly how many minutes in game per page, but that's already set. So this is where you could set that. Generally, I personally like to set mine to 2 hours because I think that's a good enough kind of realistic time in a game. This also affects how fast your character gets hungry, gets thirsty. It also affects how quickly they're able to regain stamina, etc. So for me, 2 hours is just about right. Months since the apocalypse, this kind of varies the atmosphere. So the more that you go into the apocalypse, the more everything looks kind of destroyed. But along with this also affects the loot, if I remember correctly. So food will be spoiled. You're not going to be finding fresh food anymore. You could also set the month to start out. So if you want to start out at the start of summer and the rainy season, then July is okay. But you could also start in December as well. You could set the date, you could set the hour. And then you come into the zombie lore. And then this is where you could kind of set everything. Zombie count. You could go from none. So you could play this as a Sims game and just survive and explore without the worry about zombies. But you could set this to insane if you want. You could set this to normal. If you hover your mouse over each area, it'll give you a tooltip basically on each item. The zombie distribution, you could set it so that way they're either urban focused or uniform. Uniform just means it's going to be the same amount of zombies everywhere you go. Voronoi noise, I think this is just the randomization of zombies in the areas. Zombie respawn. Do you want zombies to respawn? Yes? No? That's up to you. You could decide. I always put mine as no. Migration. The way that this works is that if you clear out a certain area, then the zombies around that area will eventually start kind of migrating. You can think about it as like zombie entropy. As you start clearing out zombies, all the zombies in the entire map will slowly kind of start to migrate to kind of fill those areas. So it's not respawning the zombies, it's just the zombies that were outside of that area are now migrating towards the now empty space. So that's all that migration is. I like to leave this on because it keeps you kind of on your toes. So yeah, so that's what the migration is. Speed, you can set this to random. You can make it so that way all the zombies are sprinters or fast shamblers or normal shamblers. The difference between speed between the fast shamblers and shamblers isn't too drastic, but when you have sprinters, that gets really crazy. If you set it to shamblers, fast shamblers, generally you could just walk away from all of your problems without any issue whatsoever. Sprinters though is when things get crazy. You could leave this to random, so that way every now and then you'll get a sprinter. But if you set this to random and you set the random sprinter amount to none, that means you will only get fast shamblers and shamblers. You can set this to insanely high. You can set this to low. You could set this to a custom rate, so that way it's 1 out of every 100 zombies is going to be a sprinter, so you're kind of like on your toes. Generally I kind of play this just normal amount of sprinters. And in regards to the strength of the zombies, this says it's the damage zombies inflict per attack, and this will go through all your armor and stuff. I'd like to put mine superhuman. The toughness is basically, think about it as like how much HP does a zombie have. It could be random, so that way you're always guessing when is this thing gonna die. I like to put mine to tough because it makes it funner. I don't like it when I mow through zombies because then it just makes them a non-threat to the game. When it comes to transmission, personally I set this to saliva only, and the reason for this is because there's 4 different types of wounds. There's bite, laceration, scratch, and a deep wound. And if you get a scratch, if you set this to blood, there is a chance that a scratch can infect you with the zombie virus and then you die within X amount of time. I'd rather it be, hey, if you literally got bit, then yeah, you're done for. Or you could set it to, hey, everyone's infected, so you have a limited time no matter what. But saliva only for me, I feel is a better bet. So that way, if a zombie jumps over a fence and lunges at your feet and they scratch your gooch, then you're still alive and you're not going to be zombified that quickly. You can set the infection mortality to instant, 30 seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, or never. And if you set it to never, your character is just going to be perma-sick, and you're going to get a bunch of debuffs from that. For me, I like to put mine to instant because, you know what? If a zombie got me, they got me, and my character's dead. That's it. Let's just finish it right then and there. Reanimation time, this honestly really doesn't matter too much, but it's basically how long is it going to take for your character to reanimate in the game once you die from the infection. You have cognition, which basically designates how smart the zombies are, whether they can use basic navigation to get to where they saw you or heard you, or whether they could use more advanced navigation, and whether they're allowed to open doors and windows. I don't think this tells you, but yes, they can open windows and doors, so they could silently sneak into your house without you even knowing. I like to leave this on because, again, it's more of a challenge factor. Random door opening amount. This is just if they could open the doors. I like to play with very high. They can crawl under vehicles, so if you think, oh, well, let me just park a bunch of cars in front of my house and they won't be able to get past the cars. Well, they could actually actively crawl under the vehicles. So I like to leave these two, often. Memory, I like to leave this to normal, although if you leave it too long, it might be more of a hindrance because that means they're just going to be chasing after you forever. And that could just be a nightmare. Same thing between sight. Sight, I like to put it at eagle. And hearing, pinpoint, I think it's fine, just more for a challenge. It's just the memory of it that's going to be a little bit more important. Because every other tick, they'll update their location of where you are. And if the memory is really, really high, then they could basically chase you across the entire zone. So that's a pain in the ass. New stealth system, that's fine. Environmental attacks just basically means that, like, zombies will generally try to make their way towards you, and if anything's in the way, like a door, an object, furniture, they will actively destroy that. What this does is that if a zombie is normally walking across the map and there is a piece of furniture, window, or door in front of them, they will attack it because they want to get to the other side. Whereas if this is unchecked, they will just ignore it. And the dangerous part of this is that if you check this, then this means that all of the zombies across the map or the area you're in are going to be attacking things, cars, houses, etc., which has a chance to set off alarms. And if you're playing with sprinters, well, then you just set the dinner bell basically all around you. So that's the dangerous part of this environmental attacks. You could set the speed of the zombies, so if they're more active during the day, you're gonna run into more sprinters, or night, or both. I just set this to both, so that way I know what I'm dealing with. But if you want that extra scare factor for night, then you could set this to night, and that way you could make sure that to do all your looting runs during the day. I leave this alone. Zombie house alarm triggering. You just basically just leave it alone and let zombies do their things. Drag down, I turn this off. And what this basically is that if you have multiple zombies attacking you, like three or more, then there's a chance that you will skip all of the animations that cause your character to, get bit. Your character is fighting back. You will skip all of that and you'll go straight into an animation where they drag you down and you're insta-killed. I like to turn this off because with the saliva only, that means there's still a chance. As long as they haven't bitten me, there's still a chance for me to kind of escape. It is very rare. Doesn't happen often, but yes, that is something that I like to have a fighting chance. Same things with a crawler. A crawler can sneak up to you if you're fighting, and they could drag you down as well. I make sure to turn this off. Zombie lunge is very contentious. A lot of people really hate this mechanic, and all it is that if a zombie goes through a window, or if they go over a fence, and if you're close enough, they will do a lunge kind of move to try to like swipe you, and this will knock your character down or temporarily stun them, but generally it tends to knock your character down in a very bad situation, and if your character doesn't get up fast enough, then you're usually chomped on. I leave this on because if you don't, it makes it really easy to cheese a bunch of zombies, as they will jump over a fence and you could generally one-shot them because they're considered vulnerable. Next we have the fake dead zombie reanimation. So this will happen as you explore the world. The world will throw zombies pretty much just randomly in areas as stories, and some of those zombies may be pretending like they're dead, so you won't know until you get close enough. So this is that kind of scare factor. This armor factor is basically what are the zombies wearing. So if you're fighting a firefighter, then the armor is basically their firefighting clothes, and that will affect how much damage you're actually doing to them, etc. How much of a chance will a zombie have to have an attached weapon? This doesn't mean that the zombie has a weapon to use against you, but more like the previous survivor that was fighting them left a butter knife in them or something like that. So that's what this chance is. Zombie fall multiplier. This is how much damage they'll take when they fall from a height. So when you're playing on a challenge map like the top of the world, if they fall, they will take 1% damage. That's it. So if you want to make this a little more realistic, you could bump this up to like 50 or 80% or something like that. So the next one is the player spawn area, and this one is a little bit difficult. This one could be basically, this is only for your spawn area and only when you spawn. So this will make it so that way the zombies will not spawn in that area. So it looks a little confusing. So this means that when you spawn, zombies should not be inside the building or around it. And this one just be, they can't spawn inside that building. So if you spawn in an apartment, there's going to be 0 zombies in there, but there's going to be some outside. Or it could be specifically your room. So the second you step outside your room, suddenly there's zombies everywhere. Or screw it, go for broke, and a zombie could spawn in the same room that you're in. So that's what those settings are. The multiplication for population here, this is also in tune with the above in regards to zombie count. So if you want to, you could set this to insane, and then you could set this to insane, and this is generally considered like 16 times population. And yeah, it's not something I would recommend to new players, but this is something that I've been toying with recently, just to see if I could survive. Then the start multiplier, what this does is that you basically start on day 1. So if you set this to normal, you will start with a normal population, and then the peak, I usually set this to insane. It'll basically be from day 1 to day 28. This will slowly ramp up the population. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna spawn zombies every hour on top of you. What this just means is that the more you start exploring new zones, the more higher the population is gonna be until day 28. And then at day 28, no matter where you go, that 16 times multiplier is going to affect the entire area. Respawn hours 0. I don't like respawn. Respawn unseen. Basically, respawns will only happen if you go to a place that you have not been to recently. Same with the multiplier. I just don't like it. The redistribute. This is basically part of the zombie migration. So every 12 hours in game, they'll generally start moving around. If they hear a sound, they will go to it within 100 tiles, or you could set this to like 1,000. These next ones here, I think, are the main part of the difficulty in regards to zombies. So if you set the rally group size to 20, that means that they will form groups of 20. 20 zombies in a group, especially with sprinters, can be very chaotic, can be very scary. You could leave this at default, but if I'm playing with sprinters, I generally try to change this to like 8 or so. And then the variance here can basically mean what percentage, like not every group is going to have exactly 8 or 20, etc. So this basically just sets a variance of like, okay, well maybe this group's gonna have 4, maybe this group's gonna have 7, etc. It just makes it more more variety. The travel distance is basically if one zombie hangs out with another zombie, one will be considered the leader, and if other zombies are nearby, how far will that zombie, the individual zombie, walk in order to become part of a group and start following the leader, etc. The rally group separation, this is just basically how many tiles do you want these groups to be separated from each other, so that way they're not like perfectly, you know, standing side by side, so that way it no longer matters. And now, you know, 3 groups of 8 are sitting in the same tile, etc. So this is what separates them. So I just leave these at just normal. It should be fine. Zombie count before deletion. This depends. I don't really know how this works. There's a lot of people that have been complaining about this, where they've gone to certain zones and then they've gone back and then suddenly all the zombies disappear. It's a big complaint from the latest build, so yeah, I don't know. I just leave it alone. You can set this to advance, and advance just makes you fine-tune some of these settings just a little more. So random door opening from 90 to 100. Random sprinter amount 33% is normal, or if you go to insane, you could actually see the actual amounts. So insane is just basically, yeah, every single one is going to be a sprinter. So that's how much you could fine-tune the experience. When it comes to loot, etc., same thing. Do you want loot to respawn? 0 is nope, no, it's never gonna respawn. I generally like to play with respawn, but it's not really necessary with the game anymore, so I think it's fine. I just leave that alone. So construction prevents loot respawn, and the reason for this is because if you have a base and if you construct a wall, then the game considers that, okay, well, this is somewhere where the player is at, so if the player just sticks around in this spot, I'm going to respawn loot for them. And that's a little bit cheesy. You leave your base, you come back, and suddenly you have new food waiting in your fridge or in your cabinets. That's a little cheesy, so I turned that off. So I leave this on in order to prevent that situation. So maximum looted building chance. This is the chance that a building that you're visited has already been looted by people, which means you're gonna not find anything. I leave this kind of high. And then this is also, okay, well, as you progress in the game, how much more of a chance is a building going to be looted? So this is just set to 90 days. So after 90 days after the apocalypse, yeah, you kind of expect a bunch of houses and places to be looted already. So I just kind of leave these alone, and I think it's okay. Now, next, the fun part, the loot rarity. You have a bunch of different types of loot in the game. You could set it to none. You could set it to insanely rare. And if you go to advance, it'll actually show you. This is how much of a chance you'll get in order to find these items. Generally, personally, I like to set everything to insane. Because for me, the most boring part of Project Zomboid is getting to a point where you're self-reliant. The second you become self-reliant, the game kind of just becomes a daily chore. And for me, getting to the point of self-reliancy is beating that run. So generally, I leave this pretty low, and sometimes I'll even go lower. Because it just makes the game last longer. And it also gives a lot of worth to some skills, especially foraging, napping, carving, because those are things that you could do regardless of the loot settings. You can go out into the wilderness and you can still survive and make what you need. So that's what I like about it, as opposed to like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the shopping center and pick up, you know, 50 hammers, etc. Like, personally, I don't really like that, because then it's just like, oh, okay, I'm done. I already have what I need. I have a saw and a hammer. But if you play with this kind of style, you get to a point where it's just like, oh man, you've been playing for like 2 weeks and your life would be so much easier if you had a saw, and then you finally find a saw. It just makes it more kind of exciting to find loot, as opposed to the normal game where everything is just way too abundant. So that's just my personal take on this. Next, the world. A lot of people set this to default. Personally, I set the water shut off to instant, the electricity shut off to instant. If you have this running normally, you could generally just watch TV to level up a lot of skills. And if the water is still on, then you don't have to worry about water. You could just go to any sink and drink water. But this makes it so that way I have to actively run around and survive. And especially for water, I need to have a plan. So this makes it more interactive with the world. So that's what I like about it. Alarm battery, I just leave this alone. House alarms, I leave this sometimes. Locked houses, yeah, that's fine. Fire spread, I like to turn this off, because a zombie outside of your view can attack something, or a building might potentially, I don't know, have a spoon in the microwave and start a fire. So there might be a fire that goes off screen, and without you even knowing, the fire can spread through a city, again, without you even knowing. And by the time you go to that city, half of the city is on fire, and because you left the spread on, there goes a bunch of potential loot, there goes a bunch of potential bases. And I just think that's kind of ass. Yeah, it's realistic, because, you know, fire spread it'll yeah, just naturally just spread throughout the area, but I just prefer this off, to be honest. Generator working exterior, that's just normal. Generator tower range, this is how far you want generators to basically power things. I mean, if you find a generator and you're able to get it to work, I mean, I think it's okay. I usually set this to 50, but that's just me. And then the vertical range, I just set this to 15, because I mean, it's just, I'm already struggling. Everything's at like minimum loot, so I'll just leave it like that. Infinite gas pumps, I leave this off. I leave this to the normal settings. If you've gotten gas, I think you've earned it. So good on you. The light bulb lifespan, I just set this to 1000. I set it to the max because there's nothing more annoying than getting a generator running, getting a base, and then every time you come back from a loot run, you have to replace the light bulb. That's just annoying. That's not really a game mechanic that I want to deal with. Food spoilage, this is how fast food is going to spoil it. I leave this to normal. Same with the refrigerator. Rotten food removal, that's fine. Basement frequency, I just leave this to normal. Maximum fire fuel hours, this one I like to change this to 400, and not 400, 168, the maximum. So what this means is that if you have a campfire and you continue to add kindling to it, logs, branches, etc., you have a maximum amount of hours that you could add to it. And the reason why I like to bump this up is not to cheat, but more for quality of life. Generally what I like to do is I like to have like a house or a cabin or something that I could set up a bunch of drying racks, and then I'll put a wood stove in there, and I'll just leave that wood stove running the entire time in order to speed up the drying process. So that's what I use this for. It's not necessarily to help me in any other way. Nature, darkness during the night, I like to set this to pitch black because I want there to be danger in going out in night, and this is what helps with that. Temperature, I like to set it very cold, so if I have to go out in the wilderness and survive in the wilderness, there is a chance that I can die from hypothermia, etc. So this kind of forces my gameplay into a situation where, yes, you know, I have to go out into the wilderness to get supplies, but at the end of the day, I need to come back somewhere to stay warm. Rain, I leave this normal. Fog intensity, normal. Rain effects intensity, yeah, normal's fine. Erosion speed, I set this to very slow, just because I like having pretty bases. I don't like seeing cracks on the wall, even though it's normal. When will erosion speed start and how your farming speed will go, I like to set this to 2. I'm still experimenting with this. I set this too fast last time in my gameplay, and due to that, I would have items in my farm basically go from seedlings to full bloom to rotting just because I slept. So in the span of 8 hours in game, like, all of my effort was for nothing. So I'm gonna continue playing around with this. Compost time, I set this just to be quick, just because it's a pain. Otherwise, fishing, poor is fine. Nature's abundance, this is basically how many items you'll find out while doing foraging. I set this to normal. Plant resilience basically is your crops. How resilient are they going to be against mildew, bugs, etc. You could just leave this to normal. Generally, if you're at a point in the game where you're already farming, you're pretty much already set, so you're not going to be set back significantly in regards to this. Farming abundance, 1 is fine, trust me. Like, if you harvest cabbage, you're probably going to have so much in your inventory, you're going to go over the limit. Kill crops grown inside. This one I turn off, and the reason for this is because if I make a quote-unquote greenhouse, then I don't want my plants to die, and I think that's dumb. The plant growing seasons, I think, yeah, that's realistic, but I want to play a game, so I want to be able to plant crops anytime I want, as opposed to, oh, it's July, I can't plant XYZ because that's supposed to be planted in September. And with my 2-hour days, that's a lot of freaking time to wait in game just to plant, I don't know, cauliflower or something. So I don't want to deal with that. Farms not on ground level. This one, they say don't change it, so fine, don't change it. Snow on ground. Enable the tainted water tooltip. This just lets you know that, hey, this water is tainted. You could drink it if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. That's pretty much what this does. In some of the challenges, this is actually off, so you don't know if something is tainted or not, and that makes it a little bit more challenging. Vermin, I leave this alone. Same. The clay is something that can be hard to find. You can forage for it if you set your forage item as stones, but generally it is a pain in the ass. So for me, I like to set this to like 0.3. And because this is not a fun mechanic to work around with. And on top of that, in order to even get clay, you need a type of shovel and a sack. And that's already difficult to get. So just, yeah, stop messing with me. Helicopter. This is the infamous helicopter. This happens generally on day 7. And what this does, it spawns a helicopter and it goes to find you, and it'll hover around you. And because the helicopter has a huge sound radius, that means that every single zombie is going to be led towards your area. This generally kills a lot of players if they don't know how to handle it. You can generally stay inside your house and close all the windows, and the helicopter will not be able to find you. Instead, it'll just hover around your general area. This doesn't make you immune to zombies. The zombies will follow the helicopter. It just means that they won't beeline directly to you. I just leave this to once. It happens. You could set it so that way it happens often, sometimes, or never. I just let this happen and that's it. There are mods out there that can produce different effects for the helicopters. Like you could have friendly helicopters that will drop supplies. You could have enemy helicopters who will try to actively shoot you. You could play around with it. It just depends on the mods. Meta events. These are events that'll happen in the game that basically affect how zombies will migrate. So this will be something like, oh, there's a shotgun, sound in the background, or you heard somebody screaming because they just got killed in the background. Those will actively make zombies migrate, and it usually never benefits you. So if you're standing in the middle of the street and you have a zombie horde to the southeast, generally if you have one of these events, the event will lead the zombies to the northeast. It'll make it so that way the zombies cross paths with you. I highly recommend playing Project Zomboid with headphones because the sound design in the game is absolutely amazing, and you can actually tell which direction these sound events happen. And on top of that, you could actually hear the zombies in your headphones better than you can see them in the game. So that's a high recommendation. Sleeping event basically makes it so that way your character will have nightmares. They'll wake up in the middle of the night. They won't be able to go back to sleep. They'll stay tired. That's kind of a pain in the ass. So I just set this to never. Generator fuel consumption. You could set this to whatever you like. I generally, once I have a generator, I don't like dealing with having to refuel it, so I just set this to like a super minimum chance. Randomized building chance. This could be something like, okay, this house has a loot stash. It has a story, like maybe people were partying there, so everybody's wearing a party hat. Still zombies though, or the house is burnt out. I just leave this to rare. Road stories chance. This is basically, hey, Somebody was changing the tire of their car, or somebody accidentally hit a zombie, or somebody swerved off the road, or something like that. I like these to be often. I think it gives the map more life. Same thing with the zone stories chance. It just brings the map more to life. Annotated map sometimes is fine. This will be something like you'll find a map on a zombie that points people to a specific spot, saying, oh, here you can find weapons in this area, or like, I'm waiting for my father in this area, you know, there's ammunition in the fridge or something like that. I don't know. Time before corpse removal. If you're playing with a bunch of zombies, I would highly recommend this to be like maybe like 2 days or so, because if not, it just takes forever to try to clear an area from zombies. Decaying corpse health impact. Basically, zombies stink, and that can kill you. If you set this to normal, I think it's perfectly fair. Zombie health impact. Even if they're living, the zombies will impact you because they stink, they're rotting. So that's the whole area right here. Level, I like playing with Ultra Gore, but the problem with Ultra Gore is that it will take up a bunch of RAM. So I just make it so that way, instead of them never disappearing, I'll leave it for like 1. So that way I could enjoy the Ultra Gore of the killing of zombies, but then ensure that it'll immediately go away after a day or so. So that way it doesn't kill my PC. Corpse maggot spawn. After a little bit of time, maggots will spawn on zombies. I should probably make this like 3 days. And you could use maggots as fishing bait, or you could eat them if you're absolutely desperate. This is the media list. I just leave this to hidden. This basically shows you like what has your character read or experienced in the game. If you're a completionist, you could play, you know, like, oh, I want to listen to every CD that this game has until I finish my game, etc. Day-night cycle, I leave this to normal. You could set it to endless day, endless night if you want. The climate, you could make it an endless blizzard if you want. You can make it snow, storm, rain, no weather, normal. I just keep that to normal. Same with fog. Or if you want to go Silent Hill, you could be endless fog. How many zombies does it take to damage a tall fence? So this is how many zombies are in the general area, and if they keep damaging a fence, they could break a tall fence. Whereas in previous versions of the game, tall fences were basically like pure immunity and zombies couldn't get through. Well, now if there's enough zombies, they can break that tall fence. How quickly zombies can damage tall fences? I just leave this to 1. I mean, if there's enough zombies and if you're not culling them, then you kind of get what's coming to you. Hey, Savara, thank you for the subbies. Allow the world map. Yeah, I just leave this on. You can have a mini map if you want. I turn that off. I like to keep just the world map for now. All known, this just makes it so that way your entire map is unlocked. I'd like to explore, so I just leave that on. Light needed to read map. It just makes sure that you need a light source. That's it. Character. You could see right now already, I've already spent the first almost hour just talking about the sandbox settings. Stats decrease. This just basically affects on, you know, how fast will your character get hungry? How fast will they get thirsty? How fast will they get fatigued? As in like sleep. This one, I like to set this to slow because in regards to gaining weight in the game, I still feel that it's not fine-tuned yet. I think it's a little off, so I like to set this to slow, because if you set this to normal, your character will be eating and then they'll be overweight by like the 3rd day, or if they don't eat enough, then they'll just keep losing weight. So it's a really weird It's in a really weird place right now, so I just set it to slow so I don't have to deal with it. Endurance regeneration. So if you're tired and you sit down, how fast will you get your stamina back? I like to set this to fast, just for the sake of it. Nutrition. This is the whole gaining and losing weight system, so I just leave it on. Starter kit basically just starts you off with a small backpack, a hammer, and a bat. I keep this off. Free trait points. This is basically in regards to your character. How many points do you want them to have? You could give them 100 points if you want, or negative 100 points if you want. I just set this to 0 for now, and I just deal with the punches. Player built construction strength. I like to put this high. If you build something, I don't want it to be paper mache and zombies could easily destroy it. Injuries, severity. If you fall from like the first story or the second story, you know, what kind of injury will you get? Will you get a bone fracture? Yes or no? So I just leave this to normal. Muscle strain factor. This is something that is very contested in the community. Much like in real life, if you swing a weapon or swing a baseball bat 20 times in a row, you're gonna get tired. You cannot infinitely swing a baseball bat over and over and over and over again. So this is what this is trying to recreate in the game. I leave this to default. It is a pain. Yeah, it is a pain to work around, but it does make it so that way you can't Superman an entire horde by yourself. You have to actually be careful. Discomfort is also a thing now, so if your clothes are wet or if you're wearing too much armor, your character will be discomforted, which will lead to you being sad. And when you're sad in game, it affects the timed actions, and it'll affect how fast you could attack. It affects a lot of stuff, and it's basically kind of like a boulder rolling down the hill. I just leave this at this, and to be honest, in the game, it makes it so that way you can decide, okay, well, there's a huge horde over there. Let me put on all my gear temporarily, and let me go fight them, and then once I'm done, I could take this off, etc. Infection is just normal infection. You have the zombie infection, and then you have a normal wound infection here. So a normal wound infection will just make it so that way your wounds will take longer to heal. That's pretty much it. I have never died from a wound infection. Clothing degradation. So this makes it so that way as you go through the game, your clothing might get ripped if you walk through a forest. The only thing I think that sucks about this is that if you have boots, eventually your boots will get holes in them, and if you're not actively keeping track of your footwear, because you have holes in them, suddenly you'll get an injury in your foot, and that is a huge pain in the ass because that affects your walking speed, and it takes a while to heal. So I would prefer this off, but you know what? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess if I was walking around the apocalypse, I guess it is true that my shoes would wear down, and I'd have to be careful with that. Rear vulnerability. This makes it that if a zombie attacks you from behind, there's a very high chance that it will be a bite. Not a scratch, not a laceration, but a direct bite. I think it's fair. If you allow a zombie to sneak up to you, yeah, they'll probably bite you, and you'll be dead. This one's another contested one. Weapon multi-hit. It makes it so that way if you swing certain weapons, it will hit multiple zombies. I think with the difficulty settings, this is the great balancer. This has saved me countless times. In the vanilla game, you could only attack one zombie at a time, but with this on, you can kind of juggle zombies a little bit better, so that's definitely useful. For the firearms, I just leave this alone as is. Let's see. Enable poisoning, true. So yes, if you wanted to, you could poison your friends if you're playing multiplayer, or poison yourself. Let's see, what else? Literature cooldown days. This is in regards to books and comics. You read books and comics in order to help with your stress, anxiety, and your depression. So if you could only find one book in the game and you're completely sad, you could read that book and then get rid of that depression. But then you're gonna have to wait 45 days in game to be able to reread that book to gain those benefits. So I think, yeah, this is okay as is. Negative traits penalty. If there are diminishing returns, the bonus trait points provided from selecting. This one I just leave alone. I don't know what it really is. Thank God that they added this. Minutes per skill book page. So number of in-game minutes it takes to read one page. So it's 2 minutes per page, and for some of the skill books you go from like 300 upwards to like 600 pages. Yes, I know it's realistic to read one page in 2 minutes, but you know what? This is a game. And I hate having to fast forward the speed, so I just set this really low. Maximum dismantling EXP. In the game previously, you could dismantle stuff, and if you dismantle things, you get EXP. With the new system, if you dismantle things, you don't get EXP in that craft. So this is the new normal, so I just leave it as is. Same with the maximum media level. If you're watching TV, a VHS, or something else that provides EXP into a certain craft, like carpentry, for example, you could only get up to a maximum of level 3, and then everything else above that you have to actually grind. I think it's, yeah, okay, yeah, I think it's okay. Three is fine, because then it forces people to actually grind out the other items. Easy climbing, I haven't messed with this yet, but apparently there is a chance for you to fail at climbing sheet ropes, and you could fall and damage and hurt yourself. I have not really played around with this, so I'm leaving it until I find a reason to not. Here you can mess with the global multipliers for all of your EXP skills. I just leave it to a global multiplier and that's it. Vehicles, yes, I like vehicles. They're super nice. I like to ensure that this is low. The attraction multiplier, basically it depends on the muffler of the car, but how loud will the car be and how many tiles from the car will it attract zombies. Just leave that fine. And I like to leave the spawn rate very low. The chance that has gas, low. Initial gas, very low. But I like to offset that with it not using too much gas. Basically, if I find a car and if I can ensure that it's working, then I think I've earned being able to use that car. If it's locked, sometimes general condition, I also set this to very low. So even if I do find a car and by chance if it has gas, it's probably gonna run like shit and it's probably gonna be in horrible condition. Player damage from the crash, I think this is fine. If you hit a tree going 60 miles an hour, yeah, you're probably gonna sustain damage. Car damage on impact. Wait. Yeah, I think that's fine. Normal's fine. Siren shut-off hour is fine. Player damage, turn that off. Vehicle sirens attract zombies. Livestock. So let's see. Livestock is also gets hungry and thirsty. This is fine. Pregnancy time. Normal, I would probably move this to fast, because normal is like 6 months and you'll be playing the game and you'll probably get bored of the game before you get your first, I don't know, newborn calf or something like that. Same thing with eggs. Set this to fast. Aging multiplier, normal is fine. Milk fast. Wool fast. Animal spawn chance, I like to set this to rare. Some animals will eat the grass tile, and this just makes it so that way how many hours. I like to set this to, I don't know, like 72 3 days. 3 days, the grass will be back. Meta predator is basically for stuff like your chickens. If you don't lock the door to the hutch, and if the chickens stay outside, then there's a chance for one of your chickens to die. I just turn this off. Yeah, whatever. Breeding season. This is basically, if this is on, then your animals can only breed during that season. And again, I don't want to play a game for 6 months just to get a new calf, so I turn this off. And animals attract zombies, I turn this off just because it's fucking annoying. In some of my previous playthroughs, like the cows will just run, and for some reason their moos have a wider sound radius than a car or an alarm, and this just makes it so that way if you finally find a cow and you can bring it over to your base, the cow mooing will suddenly bring in zombies from every direction. And then as it's running away from zombies, because it's still scared of zombies even though zombies won't attack it, it'll just keep leading more and more zombies to you, and that is just utterly annoying. So these are my kind of settings if I was playing vanilla, and then if I wanted to, I could save that. So I could save this as tutorial 2026. So now in the future, anytime that I want to play, I could just have this set and then I'm ready to go. So now I have set my tutorial. I could hit next, and then we could finally get into the creation of your character. Each profession has their own ups and downs, but the thing that you should know is this points to spend. It has to be around 0. It can't be negative. It could be a positive number, but what this basically boils down to is that this is all of your skills available to you. I could spend a day going through every single skill, but it's basically up to you. So if you want to be athletic, strong, and if you want to have keen hearing, you want to be a fast learner, but you also want to be resilient, organized, and you want to be able to move things faster between between like bags, then boom, wow, this is your build. But then suddenly look, oh shit, you're at negative 48 points. So now you have to offset that. How are you going to offset that so that way you're not OP with this build? Well, then here you go. Generally the free, quote unquote, free items are weak stomach, and this just makes it so that way you have a higher chance to have food illness. But the easiest way to offset this is just don't eat burnt food. That's it. Next is slow reader, because I already set the reading to be fast, so that's fine. The next one is conspicuous, which gives you a 100% chance of getting spotted by zombies, so it just doubles the chance that you're spotted by zombies. As long as you keep your distance, you're fine. What other ones do we have? A lot of people say reluctant fighter is good because it decreases the amount of combat EXP gains, but because you have fast learner, it kind of offsets it. So whereas you would have a 100% increase, this just lowers it to 95 or 90% EXP. Okay, so we're down to 35. So maybe thin-skinned, so that way, yeah, you have a higher chance of getting scratched or bitten by zombies, but as long as you're able to stay away from them, then maybe you'll be okay. Fear of blood is probably not that good, to be honest. I would usually go with that. Permanent tendency to lose weight. Hearty appetite. Yeah. I don't want to fill up with everything here, because now look at this. Now I have to take all of this just to offset these traits. So yeah, it could be a real kind of pain in the ass. Or you could just go random until you find something. Generally for me, I like lumberjack because you start off with let me get rid of lumberjack. Starts off with this specific trait called expert, which makes it so that way your swing speed with an axe is really fast, and on top of that you start off with 4 fitness, you start off with 5 strength, your maintenance you start off with 1 level, and then with axe you have 2 levels, and then you get a 100% multiplier and a 75% multiplier to EXP. And these are very important, these major skills. So some of these here, like let's say artisan, will give you pottery, glass making skill, and you can see, oh, you have 1 point in this, so when you start off you get a permanent bonus. So if I didn't take artisan, I wouldn't have that permanent bonus. So if you really want to min max, you always want to start off with at least 1 in the skill that you want to specialize in. Generally my major ones that I like to go with is I like to go with keen hearing, because it allows me to physically see the zombies around me even if they're behind me. Fast learner. I like to go with, where is it, outdoorsy. Oh, there it is. And this makes it so that way if your character is wet, you have less of a chance of getting sick, and that is just invaluable. Another one that I don't go without is dexterous, and this just makes it so that way moving things from your inventory is faster. And this includes, oh, you know, your main weapon just broke and you have a baseball bat in your backpack and you're walking away from a horde of zombies. Well, this makes it so you could get that baseball bat out faster and protect yourself. So it is very invaluable to me. Same thing with organize, which basically for your character, it makes it so that way you could add, I think it's like 30% more or 20% more. So if you have a bag that's a 10-liter capacity, this will make it so that way the bag is suddenly 12-liter capacity, so you could carry more with you. So that's why I find that very important. Eagle eye is also very good because it just allows you to see more, but it just depends on you. So if I was to make my character, I would make them unfit, which removes the fitness that we got. I would also make them puny, which also removes the strength and removes the bonus. But you could see I got 20 points from that, which offsets all of this. Then I would go with thin skin, prone to illness, conspicuous, slow healer. I usually would go with high thirst. What else would I go with? Slow reader. I think that's all I would. Weak stomach. There we go. So now I have 25 more points to go with. So with these 25, I would usually try to find skills that would give me said bonuses. So maintenance is very important. Masonry is also very important, especially if you want to live off the land. Same with carving, because that's how you're going to make the majority of your weapons. Bushcrafter is actually really good for the napping experience, because napping is very hard to level up in the game. Hunter, I would say, is very good, but let's see what else. Yeah, I would prefer eagle-eyed. Wakeful is good. Cat eyes is invaluable at nighttime. Light eater helps. Inventive is good. Artisan. High thirst. You know what? No, I don't want high thirst, so we're gonna sacrifice that. Herbalist is very good, especially if you're injured. And we're at 0 points. So boom. This would be a vanilla build for me, so I would save this as vanilla tutorial. There. And then as for your character, you could have presets. So yeah, these are the kind of presets you could have. And then I'm gonna stop the music. I can't believe they haven't fixed this bug. So yeah, that's your vanilla experience in a nutshell. Okay. First thing I do the second I get into the games, I crouch. Because it makes it so that way zombies don't find me immediately. But since we're in this area, they probably will find me immediately. So as you can see, there's a very minimal amount of stuff. I got tomato paste, that'll work. I got empty fountain cup, I'm gonna grab that. The power's off, so we can't see anything. But I'm pretty sure there's bathrooms here. But we're gonna trust the settings of the game, which say that there should be no zombies inside the building. So that's what we're trusting right now. Doesn't mean that there's no zombies outside, as we already saw. Large hook. Okay. Okay, a file. Is that it? That's it. That's it. That's all we got. Nuts and bolts. Okay. And a hand drill, which would be useful later on down the line, but not now. Okay. And I have a feeling this will be the outside. Let's take a look. Gummy bears. Door's closed. Okay, let's take a look. Corkscrew. It's burnt steak. Okay, nobody in here. Notebook. Oh. We have our first zombies. So they know where we're at. They know we're up here. They just broke through the first part. They're gonna have to break through the fence. I just broke through again. Trying to see if there's any weapons here. More likely not. So let's go ahead and beat them to the punch. Or not. Let's make sure we open the window. That's a lot of them. That's still a lot of them. Oh, that's a very significant lot of them. And I'm dead. So yeah. Oh my god, that's a lot of them. So yeah, this is how I personally like to play the game. I mean, it seems super unfair, but that's what makes, I think, it kind of recreates the 28 days later kind of mechanic. So now, let's say I want to spawn in Irvington. With the same character. Same situation applies. The world is still the same. Now somebody's already banging at a door. I don't know if that's inside this house. It is inside this house. How many are in here? 2. Luckily, they're not runners. Okay, let them be stuck. Okay. Well, they're doing their thing. I think there's one guy right here. Yes, you do more damage if you aim for the head. Wear that watch. Take a look outside. That's a lot of zombies. As you can see, it is cold already. Going out into a field. I'm looking for a tree branch. Right there. And then you could attach it to your back. You could research. You could speed up time. You learned how to make a weapon. So now you press 1. So now you have a bitch be cool stick. Let's say you want another bitch be cool stick. Well, then grab another one. In single player, you could look at your map and the game will automatically pause. And you could see right here, this is where we were, or where our first character died. And this is where we are now. And it won't show you, I don't know why it doesn't zoom out all the way like it used to. But the map, yes, I'm still dragging. The map is fucking huge. Yes, I'm still dragging. Where are we? I don't even know if I can get back to where we were. Anyways, yeah, the map is huge. If you want to, you could start foraging. Generally, I like to look for stones at first. This will limit your vision. And it's affected by the weather as well, along with your traits, your professions, etc. You could pick up stuff off the ground like the stone. If you see an arrow, it's just basically pointing to you. Hey, there's something over here. Okay, cool. I found some lemongrass. Lemongrass is used for sickness. If you're sick, it doesn't cure it automatically, but it helps stave it off. Now, if I remember correctly, there is a ranch to the northwest of here. Generally, people when they play, they always play just walking, but I prefer crouching because you get more experience with sneaking and lightfoot. Uh-oh, that's poisonous, therefore we'll leave that alone. You could also walk with your weapon at the ready, and this will increase your nimble experience. Nimble experience is highly important. And the reason for this is because the level of your nimble skill is how fast you walk with your weapon at the ready. And if you're able to get it to at least level 3, then you could technically walk backwards and swing at the same rate as the zombies will approach you. Anything less than that, then you're in a bad spot. There we go. I already got 1 level in foraging. Caterpillar, that's good for fishing, but I don't need it right now. Same. Cockroach, if desperate. Eat. Nettles, that'll be for food, if desperate. What is this? Cilantro? Parsley. Okay. Yeah, foraging, you get a lot of food. It won't be nutritious. You'll still lose weight. But it could keep your character from starving. Oh. What's that? We have a runner. So now, I'm going to push him. and bop him in the head. There we go. Now, when you kill a zombie, the kill hit has a really nasty radius of sound. So it can basically force other zombies to your direction, which is kind of a pain in the ass. Okay. You could shove zombies while they're climbing the fence in order to get them into a prone position. Like so. That's usually my strategy. You can see I already have muscle strain just from those 2 zombies. If you have muscle strain, you will do less damage and you'll get less EXP when attacking said zombies. Okay, might as well enable foraging. No, don't want that. Nope, no snail, please. I think there's a farmhouse if I follow this fence. Okay. I want the stone. Now I need a surface for this, so I'll have to wait. In the meantime, I'll put this away. Another stone, put this away. I'm getting overloaded, which affects my speed. I'll grab this, but then drop it on the ground immediately to pick up for later. And then here is a barn with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zombies in the area. Now let's unload. That scream is a meta event. It doesn't seem to have affected those zombies, so we're just gonna take a wide berth and go south from here. Oh. That zombie probably heard me. Okay, there's a few over there. And by a few, I mean a lot. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's about like 20 or so zombies out. And one of them just jumped a fence. I don't know from what direction they jumped. Garlic. Tomatoes. Actual food. That guy sees me. That's a flat stone. Alright. So let's lead him away. Broccoli. Okay. Disable search mode. It's not going to help our vision much. But now we can see. Bitch be cool. Bitch be cool. Bitch be cool. Okay. And we'll try to do that little by little until we can get into the house. Obviously my character is really weak. Only 1 strength, only 1 fitness. Versus about 30 zombies. There we go. Got the attention of 2 more. Okay, so let me show you multi-hit. There. That's multi-hit. You could juggle zombies. Okay. That got a runner. Runner, that's 2 of them. And now... Okay, that was unfair. Take care of this guy. Knock this guy on the ground. Okay. As you can see in the upper right, I have a moodle, which is just basically like a status showing that my character is tired. Okay. So now let's sit down on the ground. Because we're out of breath. Disregard the Elongwe probe. This is me working on the Elongwe mod. There's a zombie incoming from that direction. Let's go ahead and eat our broccoli. There's another zombie over here. Usually what kills a lot of people is that they don't pay attention to their surroundings. Come on. Jump over the fence. Push. Stomp the head. Generally stomping does more damage. And here's the bad smell. This is what can kill you if you just stick around here for a long time. A lot of new players always tend to die this way. Okay. Those are dead. Let's go ahead and look at the bodies. Digital watch. Okay, not much on them. Okay, so I don't want to be around the stinky stink. So I'm going to move until that status goes away. Right about here. I'm sitting on the ground a bit. Take a look at the area around me. And I see that there's two to the north. And if we highlight our weapon, we can see the condition is very low. So we might have to do this. I'm going to put this weapon on my back. So now, if my main weapon that's in my hand breaks, I could immediately press 1 down here, 1, and reach for the tree branch that's on my back. So we're going to try to do that. There we go. Got their attention already. This is a shambler. This is a fast shambler. This guy has something on his leg. Probably a screwdriver. There we go. Switch weapon really quick. Oh, we didn't even have to switch weapon. Yep, it was a screwdriver. Broken branch. Broken branch. There we go. And if we could find another branch on the floor, we could do the same thing. That's a log. Okay, the fog is thinning out a bit. Get rid of this from the inventory. And because their cognizance is random, it will depend. Let's see. Okay, none of these are sprinters, so that's good. And this guy has something on his back. That is a knife. So I'm going to lead these guys. Because remember, if I attack them, it's going to basically lead all the other zombies to me. Okay. Lead them over here. I still have strain. Push and pop, 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 pop. There we go. That's one down. find some better shoes too. These have 2 holes in them. Oh, these are okay. Let's wear these. Push. Let's give you my brand new shoes. Okay, you're squished. Let's get rid of these shoes. Okay, we still have 3 more. We can wait for them to come to us. Probably sit on the ground too. Regain some stamina. Still have to be careful with the bad smell. Alright. Push. And that's how you juggle. There is a runner. Was a runner. There we go. Now one of these guys had a meat cleaver. There it is. And we're going to attach that to our belt. Cool. Now again, trying to be careful so that way we don't get too many. Looks like we got the attention of this guy. That's good. 1 at a time is fine. My character is not a superhero. I don't have 10 strength, fitness, and all that, so I have to be more careful. As you play the game, you get more of a general sense on the reach of your weapons. You generally want to attack at the maximum reach. There is a sweet spot. Oh. 3. How many of those are runners? 1. That's fine, but I don't want to fight them too close. I want to run back a little bit. Turn around. And our point is you can either stun lock them or try to push them until they fall into the ground. And as long as you stand on them, they can't do anything. My character's tired. And that got more attention, especially from another sprinter. So instead I'm just going to walk. Because my character's tired, out of breath. I have to be careful with that sprinter. Which should be reaching me about now. Okay, he's going that way. Okay, and we lost the sprinter. That's fine. Let's play it a little bit more safe. Let's push her to the ground. Okay. Now they're kind of separated. That's a good thing. So yes, you could stand on top of a zombie. You could even sit on a zombie. And they won't be able to move. As long as you're on top of them, or as long as another zombie is standing on top of a down zombie, they cannot move. And you could use this to your advantage. to regain stamina and to basically take a rest. So I'll go ahead and get up. Stomper. And then slowly make my way back. I believe this guy is the sprinter. I have to be careful because there's a tree here, which is blocking my view. There we go. Now I could run over here, jump over the fence, push her. That would be fucking funny. Okay, now we deal with these people. Okay, I believe that guy has a... No, that's not a bag. Yeah, he has a bag. No, that's a hoodie. Okay, and pop. Dead. Okay, 3 more, but I'm tired. Push and stomp. Okay. Romantic letter. Push and stomp. Okay. Anything on you? Nope. Okay. It's starting to stink really bad. Have to be careful with that. My character is out of breath, which means I do, what is it, like minus 50% damage? So yeah, fighting while tired is not good. Fighting while strained also limits the amount of EXP you can get. There's still one more in the wild. Let's go over here because we're not affected by the stink. We could fast forward time a bit. Get up. Push and pop. Okay. Let's take a look around. Looks like we've handled those, so let's go ahead and sit. And then we can fast forward time. Okay. Strain is gone. We seem to be good, so now let's continue our push. Now, mind you, these are just the zombies that are outside of the house. This tree is blocking my view. There we go. Got their attention. 1, 2. Generally 2 sprinters I could handle. More than that and things get really dangerous. You can see my character's already tired. So we could just sit on the ground and wait for this guy to come to us. Okay. The speed keys here are F3 to F6. If you're using a keyboard and mouse, which I highly recommend. Okay. East side and front is almost cleared. Now, this area seems like it's empty. So let's start looking around the back. There might be a ton of them back there that we... Yep, there's one. Quite a few in the back. Okay. Okay, we got one runner. Killing him in this area might not be good. There we go. That was a lunge, but we stopped it. Okay. Okay, I could hear the door banging. That means there's one zombie. I could hear a window banging. That's 3 zombies. Getting tired. Gonna have to be careful. Okay, that's too many zombies. So now we gotta kind of make a run for it. Let me use this tree to help block the sight from the other zombies. Run over here. Oh, that's more zombies than I thought. So let's keep running. Let's go to around right here. Okay. Now we are pretty tired. Play it smart. Recover stamina. Okay. Now we're going to try to grab them one at a time. Now these are all runners. Seems that these 3 have formed a group. Same with these guys. Now, like I said, I could handle 2 at the same time. But not 3. Okay, south seems clear just in case. So there's the grouping in action. Let me do this first. Put that on my back. there we go. I got one. Come on. Okay. Come on. There we go. I just want you. Not your friends. So if I could kill you quickly, I can handle your friends. I don't want no scrubs. Okay. Now let's go for your friends. There we go. That's one. Oh, nope. Both of them. Hopefully she will come to me. Nope, she didn't. Neither did this guy. So we're just going to jump across again. And didn't do it again. And nope. And push. There we go. Standing on top of one disables one while we could kill the other one. There we go. Okay. Now let's go for these guys. So with a difficulty like this, it is doable. You just have to be more careful. That's the only difference. You just have to be more careful. You have to be more meticulous. But it adds to the longevity of the game. Great, now I'm getting thirsty. I'm pretty sure all three of these guys are runners. Okay, I got one. Okay, watch behind me just in case. Okay, and time for bitch be cool. Bitch be cool. Bitch be cool. I'm gonna wear that hard hat. And I'm getting hungry, so let's see. Yeah, sure, why not? Okay, I think this guy was the runner, and I think this guy might be normal. So let's go from the south to avoid that bigger group. And this will get their attention. Hello. Runner first. There we go. Okay. Alright, there we go. Now we're tired. Okay, south is clear. Right is clear, left is clear. North. Let's go ahead and wait here for a bit. Okay. And now we gotta deal with these guys. Okay. That's one. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. 3 sprinters. Too many for me, so I'm gonna run. Need to get to the fence. Where are you? Okay. I just need to separate them. I don't mind about the slow ones. No, 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 don't go back up. Alright, fine, I'll deal with this guy. Oh, that got their attention. Two, three. Okay. That's not good. There we go. Separated one. Okay. Alright, that's good. Okay. Here comes the other one. And pop. Alright. Let's get the other runner. Hello, lady. Get branched. Okay, now we have to take care of the other slow ones, which are over here. Alright, time to juggle. There we go. And juggle time. Crawler is most dangerous. We'll stand on the other one. There we go. Okay, move back up. Okay, we're tired. Let's go ahead and sit on the ground. Okay, I can see two immediately, but there's a couple trees in the way. Go ahead and eat. Eat again. Eat again. Okay. We need to move forward. Even though the time doesn't show it. It is 8. And it's going to get dark soon. And we need to get into the house before it gets too dark. Okay, so there's 3. 4. This guy's slow. This guy is a sprinter. Let's focus on the sprinter first. Step back. Oh, they lunged. They got us. We didn't get tripped, unfortunately. Okay. These guys are safe. Okay, good. Push. Nice. Target in that bald spot. Ooh. Dun 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 dun. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Hurry the fuck over the fence right now. And pop. Okay, good. Alright. Stompy stomps are done. Okay. This side is complete. Let's go down. Go over here. Alright. How many zombies have we killed? 55. Alright, now we gotta look at this side. There's one zombie. There's a few more over there. Now we can't see this area. There we go. And that was where we have to be really careful. I'm forcefully going to kill this guy right here. Because if I do, any zombies within this radius should hear and start attacking. Like the guy who just opened the door over there. So somebody just opened a door. So I know that there is one guy over there. Then there's this guy right here. Okay. Okay, so now I have to be really careful because I don't know if it's just one person or more. But before I go into that area, I want to check this spot out as well. Okay. Okay, there's about 3 people in the garage. And you could tell by the cadence. So they last heard me over here. So once they break through, they will run this way. But there's another person who opened a door over here. can't see behind the house. No, I can. We're safe. We got 2 people coming out. Don't know if they're runners. We got more. Okay, not runners. Okay. Okay. There we go. There's 1 runner. 2 runners. Come on. Kill this guy. Okay. 2 more. 3 more. This guy might be a runner. Nope. Okay. Now we're really tired, so now we have to be really careful. Luckily, these guys are slow, so we could recover just a bit. All right, get up. We're gonna walk. We're gonna go over here. Sit down. Okay. And stompy stomp. Okay. Wait for the next one. And the next one. Now our character's super tired, which means they're going to do even less damage. Okay. Taken care of. It's stinking. Now we have a lot of strain. Let's go over here. We're going to rest. Now I'm going to do speed up time. Okay. Now it's getting dark. Now those people are still banging in the garage. And we still don't know how many are left inside the house. So let's be careful. Nobody in the back. As far as we can tell. Nobody in this area. Don't see anybody through this door. Nobody in this immediate area. Okay. nobody outside here. There's that guy right there. There's a few people over there. Take a peek. Seems clear. Another peek. Seems clear. Let's handle this guy. Come on over. Oops, wrong way. Okay. He's dealt with. 360. Okay, cool. So, you're probably wondering, okay, well then do I have to like Metal Gear Solid this house? Because there's an upstairs and obviously there's rooms. And I don't know where a zombie could be hiding. You can go through meticulously, but you're going to have to be careful. Because you don't know. Tire, don't need. I'm looking for a better weapon. Not a hand fork. That's not going to do it. But in the event I need to run, I'm going to open this. Corkscrew, don't need. I can open this as well. Okay. Gonna have to remove the glass. And listen. Removing the glass will make noise. We are thirsty. Let's drink. Close the window. What is over here? Saucepan, but it's not cooked. Box of nails. Go ahead and remove. Close window. Okay, let's go this way. Close the window. Going upstairs. Okay. Now, unless one of them is hiding. Okay, what I could do is I could pick this up. And then I could set it down. There we go. Close curtain. And like that, I have survived my first day in Project Zomboid with the settings that I set. Now I could go to sleep. Now during this period, I could wake up because my character heard a sound. I could wake up because of a nightmare. I could wake up for many various reasons. I'm cold, or I'm hungry, or I'm uncomfortable, or any reason. And you just have to deal with it. You could exercise to warm up. Exercise will help with your strength, with your fitness. So there's just ways you could kind of level up and go through the game. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As long as you go slowly, you could survive in any kind of situation. But for me, like, even though starting in Echo Creek was a really quick death, yeah, this kind of situation here where I'm at, I would continue with this playthrough and just continue to survive. My goal when I play this game is basically to try to max out all of my skills. It's not like, oh, I want to get like 5,000 kills or anything like that, because that's pretty simple. I like the RPG aspect of leveling up all my skills, so that's something I usually try to go for. But as it stands right now, even with the current zombie population, even if this is vanilla, I still find this too easy. So that's why I like to add a bunch of mods and stuff like that. So go ahead and quit this playthrough. And let me show you my mods. I have a ton of mods that I've collected throughout the years of playing Project Zomboid, including a hand kill voice type, which is really annoying because he just yells hand kill stuff all the time. The majority of my stuff is quality of life and difficulty. I like Subaru Impreza WRX 100%. That has to go to the game. The way that they handle propane torches in the game is pretty ass, so I added this, but since this is on an old build, I have to find the new one. There was bugs with multiplayer, so I had to add this mod to fix that. This is for a new town, custom town. Authentic Z is kind of fun to play with. It makes it so that way you get a bunch of variety of zombies, but I'm not sure if they have updated this yet, to be honest, for build 42. I have to take a look. Auto tailoring is specifically for leveling up. Tailoring, it just makes it so that way your character automatically continues to train on it because it's annoying otherwise. Become desensitized is very useful because it makes it so that way your character isn't always shocked when seeing zombies for the 5 millionth time. Better generator info is pretty useful because this shows you basically the radius of your generator, how long it'll last with the current gas it has. This just gives you more spawn locations in these zones because currently, as you can see in Echo Creek, there's only one spawn, so this just gives you more. And if you want to play a little bit more like a roguelike, then you have this bird survival journals, which basically makes it so that way if you get enough materials, you could create your own journal and you could log your EXP and stuff in it. And it makes it so that way if your character dies, you could create a new one in the same world, and as long as you've written in that journal, you can reclaim all of the EXP and recipes that you've learned from your old character. So this one is pretty fun if you play on multiplayer with friends, especially on super hard settings. This gives you a little bit more motivation to continue playing, as opposed to like, oh well, my character died, I might as well reset the world. Um, yeah, it's a personal preference. Challenge traits. This just adds more difficult traits to start the game, as in like you have a fracture in your head, on your chest, you have 2 broken arms, etc. So that's some more fun stuff. This chaos mod, I did a stream for this a while back. This is exactly what it says. This is just pure chaos. So if I do a stream with people, then this would be very fun. Chinatown expansion. This just adds Chinatown in the game. Common Sense adds a bunch of, well, common sense recipes and stuff in the game. Like, for example, if you have a crowbar, you could use a crowbar to break into a door. Stuff like that. Combat mastering skill. I thought this was interesting. This is a mod that I found that basically makes it so that way the more that you get proficient at a weapon, it changes how fast you can hit. So I haven't played around with it yet, but I think it might be interesting, so that's why I added it. Combat text. This one just makes it so that way you can see health bars on top of zombies, so you're not guessing all the time. Whatever. Constown, town. There's a bunch of mods for towns and stuff. There's a mod to tell you the detailed descriptions of all the traits, so that way you're not guessing what everything does. Same with tooltips. The do not push. I'm not sure if this works or not, but this makes it so that way if you push a zombie, then the physics should affect the zombie behind it. But what I found from this is that it's pretty bugged on stairs, and it can get to a point where you're shoving a zombie that doesn't exist, and yet it affects all the other zombies and they teleport, so I'm gonna turn it off. Donazo's fine. Fisticuffs just makes it so you can melee stuff, and I think that's fun. Dynamic horde events. I thought this one was actually pretty interesting and pretty good. It just makes it so that way hordes do not spawn, but rather, actually no, this one does spawn zombies. So if you want a little bit more difficulty, this one will spawn zombies and make it so that way they pass through your area or immediately start chasing after you. Efficiency skill mod. This one was another one I wanted to test. So I do want to play around with that. I'm still working on my new engine for Elanwi, so that's a work in progress. That's gonna take a while. Exercise with gear. I think this one is useful. Quality of life, because if not, then your character unequips everything, and then trying to equip everything again is just such a pain in the ass. Extended categories. This one kind of helps with organization, sure. Power rework. This one's more like a end game thing. You could actually work on power stations and bring back power to the town. So if you want like a really long-term end game goal, I think it's really worth it. The used cars, I forgot what this does. I think it just adds more cars to the game. Fort Benning, generator range. This one I don't need because we have the other one. Grapeseed. Trait magazines, so you could learn traits, but you have to survive for a certain point. Here goes the sun. This one's just more visual. It shows the sunset and sunrise. Hide equipped items is useful, but it doesn't really hide them all, which is kind of annoying. Improve traffic jams, makes it so that way there's less burnt vehicles in traffic jams. Item condition overlay just lets you know the condition of your items, which is really nice. Kentucky Iron is one that I saw that basically shows iron on the map, because even though the game added blacksmithing and iron, there is no iron on the map. which makes no sense. It's like, why did you introduce blacksmithing and these iron recipes if you added no way for us to get these items without using the debug mode? So this just adds them into the map. So that's what's there. So then I added these two mods: mineral tools, kill count, just shows you how many you've killed. The Kitsun's crossbow mod, I really love this mod, so I love the crossbow, so keeping it. LED lantern, Louisville quarantine zone, just makes it a little bit more interactive. Makeshift crossbow, don't need this anymore since I added the crossbow mod, so I'm gonna have to mess with that. Maplewood, still haven't explored this town, we'll check it out some other time. Meat expansion, I thought this one was actually pretty cool. It makes it so that when you butcher animals you get a lot more meat as opposed to just very basic stuff. Minimal display bars, this makes it so that way you could actually see where your hunger is, your thirst is, your calories, etc. It's really useful. Mini map stuff, mod load order, which can be important, especially for running a server for people. More traits, gives you more traits to select with. This one's dynamic traits, so that way the traits can be dynamic. Neat building. Let's see, was it neat crafting? I think it's neat crafting and neat building. This just makes it so the UI is significantly better. Yeah, and the EXP mod display, that one's really useful. Nearby traps is, I think it's important because it's a pain in the ass that you have to walk 100 tiles away for maps to work. Movable workstations is very useful, so that way you can move things around. Let's see. This one allows you to create your own well. This one's more like end game stuff, so I thought it was okay. Paranormal Z, I think this one's really cool. This memory attachment, these ones are all pretty cool. Propane refilling at gas pumps I think is okay. Proximity inventory is a lifesaver. This one, random zombies, just gives you more deep settings for setting zombies. Realistic dashboard engages. Realistic weights. I think I nailed that. Restore engine quality. Rune EXP. This just shows you your EXP. Silent Hill dynamic music. I should probably add this back. I miss the Silent Hill music. Recycling 100%. Rain collectors, because currently it's all really screwed up. Sixth Sense just basically lets you know if there's a zombie nearby. It's really useful. Oh wait, it was this zombie collision. This is the one that's kept screwing me up. Somewhat water is useful visually. It's pretty cool. Pry open door windows. Tanks have propane. Yep. Taylorsville. Town power plant. Traits as skills. This is a new one that I wanted to play with. Traits purchase system makes it so that way you can it's like a survival benefit. I thought it was pretty cool. Useful barrels. It's random, but it works. Vanilla agriculture fix. What was this for? Oh, yeah. This one's that way you get agriculture EXP for doing a bunch of stuff. Vehicle overhaul, repair, and salvage is useful. Water pipes is useful for plumbing. Weather move. Weightless keys. I don't know why they made them. Let's see. This one was a new one I wanted to play around with. This one is really cheap because, yeah, it gives you 100% weight reduction. I added it for like a super challenge run, but I think I'm not going to use it. True RVs. I like the whole RV aesthetic, so keeping that. Don't need mod manager. Do that pack mule. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I think those would be all. So I would save this as 2026 set. Then I would accept. Then it would reload the game with all of these mods in place. And if you're wondering where do you get the mods, you just go through Steam, go to the Project Zomboid page, and then there's a page for workshop. And then, yeah, you could go from there. And then all you need to do is just solo, custom sandbox. Your mods are already set, so you don't have to worry about that. Back. Next. Now you have Maplewood, which is somewhere over here. You have Grapeseed, which is somewhere over here. Constown. Looks like they even added it on the actual map itself. That's actually pretty cool. Dawntown, wherever that is. Raven Creek, which is now down here. Tiki Town. Taylorsville. The Quarantine Zone. Chinatown. It just has a bunch of this stuff. So Chinatown it is. Cool. And now, holy shit, look at all the sandbox options. Now, thanks to all the mods that I added, every mod has their own things. So you will have to go through here one at a time. Yes, it might be annoying, but hopefully that worked for zombie stuff. Yeah. So I still have this. So all of the other stuff that I changed is in effect. Then after that, it's just a matter of going through all these other things here and individually setting things to fine-tune my gameplay. And in a nutshell, that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much what I do when it comes to yeah, playing the game. There's not much else of an explanation. I just make this hard for myself because I like the difficulty. Yeah, I primarily I made this for a friend of mine who wanted to get into Project Zomboid, and they wanted to see like how I played, what my style was, how everything works. So that's it from my side. So I'm gonna go grab lunch, relax for a bit, and yeah, I will catch you guys next time. That's it for me. Bye.